On today's show, we'll take a look back at some Liberty University coaches and athletes that impacted the school in a big way.
Yeah, from a Yankees legend to a former NFL Coach of the Year, these men helped pave the way for Flames' success today. And we'll bring you their stories, starting right now.
What's up? Welcome to Game On alongside of Rhett McGibbon. I'm Matt Warner, and today we have a special show for you as we step into the Wayback Machine to bring you some stories of pivotal people in Liberty University sports history.
In every program's history, there are those people that help lay the foundation for the future, and on today's show, we'll take a look at 4 such people, beginning with a former Yankee legend turned Liberty coach.
Yeah, that's right. Bobby Richardson originally made a name for himself as a 3-time World Series champion and 7-time All-Star with the Yankees. But his was a name that people knew not just for his playing ability, but also for his strong faith. And later in his life, that level of notoriety and passion for God would make him a perfect fit to take over the Liberty baseball program.
Bobby Richardson pulls a long drive to left field.
7 All-Star games, 4 Gold Gloves,
The Yankees win.
3 World Championships, and a World Series MVP. But to really get to know New York Yankee great Bobby Richardson, you have to start in Sumter, South Carolina.
My dad instilled a love of baseball in me. He would come home after work and we'd play catch together. He'd hit me a few ground balls maybe, and so that love has been there since I grew up.
And from his early days in the Knee Pants League, baseball had a starring role in Bobby's life. It was in youth baseball where his major league dream took shape.
Before the game, they took our team out to see a film. And the name of the film was Pride of the Yankees, the story of Lou Gehrig. And I remember thinking, that's the greatest organization I've ever heard of. I'd like to be a part of that.
And just a few years later, his dream would come true.
The day I graduated from high school, I was given a chance to sign with, at that time, 12 of the 16 major league clubs. The offer was exactly the same for all, and so I signed with the Yankees, and a friend here in town had given me an opportunity because of his connections with baseball to work out with the Yankees for 3 days in New York.
This would be his first glimpse of the legendary ball club.
I would field ground balls after I put my uniform and walked out onto that wonderful Yankee Stadium field. And then I was to come up and take some swings with the regulars, then go in, take a shower, and watch the game. Well, I fielded the ground balls. I stood around the cage, but I wasn't about to step in front of Yogi Berra, Hank Bauer, and Mickey Mantle came up from behind and said, "Come on, kid, step in here and take some swings."
After that brief taste of the Big Apple, Bobby would head south to begin his road to the big leagues.
The Yankees sent me to my first farm club. It was Norfolk, Virginia. Took the bus to Norfolk, Virginia, got there 5 o'clock in the morning, didn't know anybody. That's a tough life, minor league baseball. Well, my faith played an important part. It really played a part in the minor leagues. When I first went off to Norfolk, I was replacing their star player who was called into a reserve program. He hit a lot of home runs. He was a great player. And I just didn't play that well. I was over my head, really. And the fans were getting on me. I was really just desperate to get a base hit. I just wasn't hitting my weight, and I didn't weigh very much at that time. And I was ready to quit and come back home and say it was a good try, but it wasn't for me.
Bobby leaned on his faith and through hard work, finally got his first shot at the majors.
I remember so well, almost like it was yesterday, that I walked, stole second base. Yogi Berra hit a 2-run homer. We won the game 3-1. I did get a base hit. And that was a wonderful thrill as I look back all these almost 50 years after I've retired.
The spotlight of the big leagues would bring new challenges, but Bobby's faith always remained constant.
In those early days in baseball, I can remember only a handful of people that would be bold enough to share their testimony. I had a great roommate. His name was Tony Kubek, and we roomed together in the minor leagues and the major leagues. I remember the time that I had my New Testament there and some books that Tony started reading, and he too came to know Christ as his Savior. And so we had wonderful fellowship on the road.
Another teammate would also provide support during this time, that teammate being his wife.
Betsy and I were married young, and she was the one that gave me the spiritual impact in my life. I knew Christ as Savior, but He was Lord of her life. And So there were devotions, there were times in the scriptures. I can remember those first years when I was in New York. I was termed religious, and I didn't drink, so we would pledge a pennant. We won 9 out of the first 10 years I played, and they would have champagne, and they'd always have a small bottle of Coke for me, and I could shake it up and squirt it and then drink it.
Bobby's play on the field was peaking, and he was even named World Series MVP in 1960. Still to this day, he's the only player from the losing team to ever win the award. Bobby was rewarded with a sports car for his efforts, but always the family man. He didn't keep it very long.
It was a 60 Corvette, and I drove it back home to South Carolina. I couldn't get my family in there. It's a 2-seater. I could get one of my, at that time, 2 boys. My wife was expecting a girl. And so I took it down, and I had an old station wagon. I traded my old station wagon and that Corvette for a new station wagon and a Jeep.
And it was the importance of family that ultimately nudged him to step away from the game.
I just felt like my boys were growing up without me. What baseball they knew, Betsy had taught them. We had won 9 out of 10 years, and baseball had been so good, it was time I concentrated on my family.
But no player ever deserved a day in his honor more than our guest today, who makes number 10. And without further ado, Bobby Richardson.
The Yankees were so gracious. They did give me a day, and George Beverly Shea sang How Great Thou Art at Yankee Stadium. And they gave a track out. I was privileged to write a track giving my testimony in baseball, and they passed some 40,000 of those tracks out. And so the Lord just even honored that retirement in baseball.
After his playing days, Bobby would stay close to the game of baseball. He began a coaching career at the University of South Carolina before eventually moving on to a new opportunity at Liberty University.
Jerry Falwell asked me to come up to Liberty University. Jerry had been a friend of mine for a long time. I can't count the number of times I'd gone up there. He was a Yankee fan. He loved the Yankees. My thrill was spending 5 years there, not only as baseball coach. I took my assistant coach, Johnny Hunton, up and eventually named him baseball coach, and I concentrated as athletic director. Liberty University was different. You had professors that were not only teachers of God's Word, but they were the role models for the students. And I was just so impressed with everything. You could recruit on a national basis. You could call California. A young boy that loved the Lord would love to come and play for a Christian ball club there. And it was just a wonderful 5 years.
Bobby Richardson has made the most of the platform God has given him, and now he hopes to pass the torch on to the players of today.
I think the American athlete can be one of the great witnesses in our culture today.
It sails over the head of Gino Saloli, and it's in there for a trip.
A big-name coach can take a program to another level, not just in wins and losses, but also in national perception. Much like Bobby Richardson, when Liberty football program hired longtime NFL coach Sam Rutigliano, the nation took notice, and as you'll see, it wasn't long before the move started paying big dividends.
We are interrupting our regular program here on FamilyNet for a special news conference. We are live at Liberty University. They're about ready to begin, so let's go to the media room.
I'm going to bring right now to the podium our new head football coach, Mr. Sam Rutigliano. Sam?
And I wanted to go back to coaching for a reason. This university represents all the things that I believe in.
Sam Rutigliano, and of course he was Cleveland Browns coach from 78 to 84, the NFL Coach of the Year in 80, AFC Coach of the Year in 1979, and we're going to return now to our regular broadcast schedule on FamilyNet.
My life has been 2 things. It's been Jesus Christ and adversity, and the different things that I've gone through in my life. In August 17 of 1962, I was in a car accident. I lost my 4.5-year-old daughter, Nancy, which was, for a lot of people, sometimes marriages just break up. And it was through that I found the Lord. And then the next step, as I went through college and I got involved in the NFL, was to have met Jerry Falwell at that meeting in Washington, D.C., and to take the opportunity. And going to Liberty was my feeling of what the Lord did for me, and I was kind of paying him back.
Coach Rutigliano was authentic out of the gate. He was a driven man. He definitely wanted to achieve great things, and he believed in the mission that Liberty
was pursuing, and he was able to pass on his faith and encourage others.
When I sat down with a kid we brought in from Florida, or a kid we brought in from Georgia, or a kid we brought in from Ohio, they came with their parents. And I could talk to their parents and talk to them about, we got guys that at the end of every game, they pray with the other team. I could tell them things that I could never tell on high school or college or in pro football.
He was very successful with the Cleveland Browns, and of course, you folks may remember the Cardiac Kids. They had a lot of exciting games. He brought a type of an offense that was high-powered, big passing offense, and he took all of that and brought it to Liberty.
First of all, we had some great years, but we were not in the conference. Everybody else in every other sport at Liberty, we weren't in the conference. So we went 9-2 one year and beat a lot of good teams, beat Appalachian State. They would not take us.
Well, I think Sam Rutigliano brought a new level of credibility to the football program. It was in its second decade, only about 15 years old. It had gone through this huge transition of NAIA to Division II to Division I AA in just a short period of time. And then Sam Rutigliano comes on the scene, and he brings now a whole new level of credibility. The team in the 1990s was ranked in the top 20 several times, as high as number 8 in the country in the mid-90s.
Jerry Fall was a great pastor and a great man of God, but he could have done anything. He could have been a CEO of anything. And he knew that because of my coming from the NFL and coming to Liberty was going to really draw a lot of things. I think it had a lot to do with A.L. Williams coming and getting the most important thing done, building that stadium on campus. That was just the beginning.
Thank you. There's not a stadium in the world that my family would be more honored to have its name on.
He told me over the phone in January that the stadium would be built by homecoming, which was sometime in late October or early November. I said, "What are you talking about? You can't do it."
They actually moved into the stadium in October. Homecoming game was played in that stadium, and Liberty won, I think, by 20 points over Towson State. He brought all kinds of attention to Liberty that it had not had before in the sports world. So Sports Illustrated and NBC and ABC, CBS Sports and ESPN, those groups were starting now to come and learn about this unusual school in the mountains of Virginia that not only focused on Christianity and faith and Bible, but also on developing outstanding athletes.
I just was blessed. And I think Liberty was the final move for me. And then God wanted me to pay so many kids and so many people back. And I think I helped in that, building that program that they have right now.
Amen!
Coming up, we stay with football and go even further back in LU's history to tell the story of one of the first recruits.
And meet the man behind the rebirth of Liberty hockey. That's when Game On returns.
I think online learning is a little bit different than in the classroom. The actual online portion gave me an opportunity to be able to be the husband and the father, and then get online and be the student in the evenings. Liberty Online has a partnership with Centra Health, the student tuition deferment program that allows a student to enroll and pay their tuition out in payments or pay it one lump sum down the road. The degree that I have now that I obtained from Liberty in 2015 online is something that was a prerequisite for this role. So I don't believe I would have this role as it was a minimum to have a bachelor's degree for the role that I'm currently in. So it's helped a lot. We're all so busy in our today life. I think the online option provides an avenue to success, and it provides an avenue to being able to have the opportunity to go back to school with its flexibility and its schedule.
So did you ever decide what you're gonna do this summer?
Maybe number 4.
The Trans Am? That's awesome, man.
You're gonna run across America. Do you have any idea what you put us through every time you do one of these things?
I feel like God wants me to do this, to inspire people one last time. What can I expect when I get back?
I don't know.
Welcome back. Long before the 19,000-seat stadium or the indoor training facility or any of the other incredible facilities that the Liberty football program has to offer, there was just a vision. And way back in the early 70s, Chip Smith bought into this vision, one that would start him down a path in athletics that has impacted countless lives.
The jerseys hanging on this wall represent hard work, determination, and adversity. And they were put here by this man, Chip Smith.
We do NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, Olympic athletes.
Professional and amateur athletes from all over the world come to Chip Smith's training facility in Norcross, Georgia to get bigger, stronger, and faster.
We do speed development. We train very sport specific. We train movement specific within that sport. So we can increase bat speed. We can increase running speed, vertical. So we enhance performance for athletes at the highest level. Okay, what I'm going to do is just here.
Training athletes comes naturally for Coach Smith, partly because he was such an outstanding athlete himself. Coming out of high school, Smith was offered scholarships to play football at Tennessee, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, and Naval Academy. He committed to the University of North Carolina, but his situation changed after receiving one phone call.
Dr. Falwell called my dad and said, hey, I'd like to come down. I'd like to talk to Chip about coming up to Lynchburg Baptist College. We're going to start a football program. And he flew down, picked me up, and we flew to Little Rock, Arkansas for I Love America rally, which I don't even think is legal now. That's probably against the NCAA regulations. We were going out there. He shared with me his vision for Liberty or Lynchburg Baptist College at the time. And he asked me, he said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, Dr. Fall, I want to play football, obviously, but I played baseball too, and I'd like to be able to play baseball. And at UNC, they weren't going to allow me to do that. And he goes, well, I tell you what, if you commit to me, you can come up here and you can play baseball and you can play football. And by the way, he goes, our campus is on, you live on an island. I said, really? An island? He goes, yeah. I drive up and I've got tennis rackets, I've got fishing rods hanging out my car, I've got a shotgun in the front seat. I'm expected to go, to a summer camp where I'm going to be hunting and fishing and playing tennis every day, but it was a little bit different than that on Treasure Island.
Smith's first time on a college campus was not what he expected, and his first spring football practice was not what most top high school recruits were experiencing at that time.
The very first spring, they actually invited anybody that wanted to play. We had guys that had never put equipment on. In fact, we didn't even have equipment. I had to use my high school helmet. No facilities, we didn't have a weight room. All the things that they have today, we had none of that.
In time, new equipment, new coaches, and new players were in place. And Smith, the first scholarship athlete for football, would be the first to do a whole lot more.
I was fortunate enough to score the very first touchdown in the school's history. I was the first 1,000-yard rusher. I was the very first captain.
And that same year, Lynchburg Baptist College started its baseball program with their star football player playing second base and batting leadoff.
The very first game against Virginia Wesleyan, I went 5 for 6 with a leadoff single. So I had the very first hit in the school's history. I don't take credit for any of that. Again, my teammates, especially in football, were responsible for any accolades that I won as a player. Any yard that I rushed, they blocked for me. We had some good players during that time. Played on a team that beat the University of South Carolina when they were ranked #1 in the nation. I think God brought us together. He used me, I think, as a catalyst.
When Smith's college football career ended in 1976, he had amassed 1,500-yard games, 33 rushing touchdowns, and more than 3,300 total rushing yards. This averaged out to be about 101 yards per game. In baseball, this 4-year letterman and team captain also led the team with a .454 batting average. Because the full varsity football schedule didn't begin at Liberty until 1976, many of Smith's statistical honors are not officially noted in the NCAA record books. But Smith says it's not the awards or the statistics that he remembers the most, it's the relationships.
My closest friends today were my teammates at Liberty that love like brothers, and they love me and we love the school.
With every athlete he trains, Smith takes the time to share and to serve.
We use our business as a ministry. Everybody that comes in here, we tell them that they're here for a reason. God's led them here. We tell them our priorities in life are first and foremost is our relationship with Jesus Christ, and second is our family and our vocation and avocation. And with that, we hold ourselves to a higher standard than the way we coach. They know that I love them and I care about them unconditionally. I hope they play for as long as they want to play, but they're going to know there's an old white dude in Norcross, Georgia that loves them and cares for them and will do anything in the world for them. And that's why when they come in here, this is their house. This is the house that they built.
Ironically enough, the man who had no training equipment or facilities when he began his career at Liberty is now using his own facilities and equipment to train many Liberty athletes who are looking to take their careers to the next level. Well, still to come, from a defunct program to one of the hottest tickets on campus, meet the man who helped bring Liberty hockey back from extinction. That's when Game On returns.
You might have heard some things about Liberty University, like how we're just a little Christian school in the middle of nowhere. And there's nothing to do here. I mean, come on. You know us. Boring.
Boring?
Yeah. They say we don't work as hard, think as hard, try as hard.
I object.
The truth is, well, we might surprise you.
I used to watch the medical shows on TV when I was younger, and I wanted to be like the doctors and the nurses. There was a point in my nursing career that I was ready to go back. My husband and I love to go on mission trips, and we've been on a few medical mission trips. And I believe that the F&P D&P degree will really open up the door on the mission field a lot more. I think there was a few things that stood out on this campus, how much the faculty truly cared for us as students, wanting us to succeed in pursuing higher education.
Thanks for sticking with us. Well, back in the mid-90s, Liberty University hockey was in a tenuous situation. For a multitude of reasons, they even skipped an entire season. But in the midst of one of the program's lowest points, a man by the name of Corrado Puglisi arrived on scene, and the effect he would have has carried over until even today.
The shot off the crossbar.
You see the lights, you hear the sounds, and you join in the excitement of what is now Liberty hockey. Rewind 17 years ago and you'll find a very different story. Liberty hockey didn't have a season in 95-96, but they did hire a head coach that would put Liberty on a path to their recent success.
Corrado had lots of excitement, lots of enthusiasm, and it was contagious for the players and then for us, you know, with the fans. One thing he really tried to do was to bring the professionalism of the program. Remember the first thing that happened when we got to Charlottesville, that first game of the first year, was we had brand new home and away jerseys, and you know, that really started to catapult our team to where, you know what, we really felt like we were invested in, and really, it was a really good start to my career at Liberty, but also a new era in Liberty hockey with Corrado.
I got a phone call one night from a guy named Andrew Barron. He introduced himself to me as a hockey player and told me that him and a few guys are trying to get the team back together. And they had a faculty advisor by the name of Myron Penner who told them that he will be the advisor only if they could find a coach. So I remember coming in for an interview, but I was being interviewed by players. And so they asked me a bunch of questions, I asked them a bunch of questions, and at the end of the night I agreed that I'd be the coach, and that's how I got started.
That would be the easy part. Next up would be getting the team back on the ice after having a season off.
I think Liberty had a debt with the Roanoke Civic Center that until the debt was paid, we weren't allowed to rent ice. Andrew Barron told me that Dr. Falwell took money out of his own pocket and paid the debt for the team so we could start up again. So the 95-96 season was just a few exhibition games, but the 96-97 season was when we had enough money together to rent ice, to get some practices going, and to be part of the ACC. So I figured out how to get into the ACC. I made a few phone calls, and we were in the ACCHA with teams like Duke, UNC, Virginia Tech, University of Virginia.
Getting into the ACCHA would be a turning point for the Liberty Flames. The team battled through their first year in the ACC and barely made it to the playoffs.
We got in and we were the 4th seed and we played UVA that night. I thought that University of Virginia was a far superior team in terms of talent.
One of the things I remember was our goalie Corey Waluchow stood on his head. I want to say the shots were 2 or 3 to 1. And UVA really deserved to win that game.
The game went into overtime, but it was one of those games that went back and forth, back and forth. They get a goal, we get a goal, they get a goal, we get a goal. The University of Virginia pointman shot the puck from the point. I think it was Andrew Tatry that blocked it. Him and Neil went in on a 2-on-1. They missed the 2-on-1. They got the puck from behind the net. Andrew Tatry scored the overtime goal to knock UVA out, and the place just went crazy. Our bench erupted. It just went completely berserk, and it did feel like the championship game. To me, in many ways, it was.
The Flames would go on to win the ACC, beating UNC 4-2 in the finals. It was a key moment in Flames hockey history, one that helped bring the success you see today.
There was pivotal points in our 30 years here at Liberty Hockey. That was a pivotal time for us, and really showing that we were of the class of the league that we were in the ACC at that time.
You have to believe if it wasn't for Corrado's tireless dedication into this program that Liberty Hockey wouldn't be in the state it is in today, which is one of the elite teams in all the American Collegiate Hockey Association.
Yeah, Corrado, just another in a long line, as you've seen, of important figures over the years that have helped Liberty Athletics rise to the prominence that they find themselves in today. Well, that about does it for us. As always, you can find us on social media and also our website, GameOnLU.com, where you can watch entire shows as well, so enjoy yourself there. For Rhett McGibbon, I'm Matt Warner. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you right back here next time.